Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be Hairy Muppet casting another 1v1 Masters League game. At the top left we have our red Protoss player, Nyast. I think I cast another game of his earlier today, and this is going to be another one coming up. And on the bottom right side we have our blue Zerg player, DaDumbDude, who we should hope that his gameplay does not reflect his name, which I guess it won't, because of course he is in Masters League. Now if you hold on a sec, I am going to go check and see if my microphone is picking up, because I have a feeling that maybe it isn't. It's paranoia, but we'll go check anyway. Okay, looks like it is being picked up properly. I don't know why, but I thought it wasn't. There was no reason why I thought it wasn't, I just thought it wasn't. But it looks like it will be picking it up, and if it doesn't pick it up at all, then I'm going to have to recast this entire game. And if it's not an exceptional game, I probably just won't bother recasting it, because one thing I've found out before is that if you recast a game that you've already seen before, it is painful. It is painful to cast it a second time. So because the main thing about casting is people get excited about watching videos where the commentator is excited. If the commentator's seen it before and he knows exactly what is going to happen, the commentator's not excited. He just sounds bored. He just sounds like, oh yeah, this is going to happen, oh that's going to happen, blah blah blah. It sounds freaking awful. It really does. And I am never, ever, ever going to cast a game that I've already seen or played, unless either I cast it a few weeks later so I forget what happens, or it's just such an awesome game that I'm excited even watching it a second time. But for now, this particular game, I've never seen it before, so I'm very excited to see what happens. Of course, it is between Masters players. He's doing a bit of scouting over here, but he's scouting in all the wrong directions. However, he might be happy, actually Zerg player, so he might be happy to know that it is a diagonal spawn, cross spawn on this map. Means a lot longer for the Protoss player to get to him, but I'm not sure it really matters, because usually it's the Zerg doing the early harass. Of course, anything can happen because it is Starcraft 2, and there's so much different shit you can do, and a surprisingly large amount of that crazy stuff actually works in some way, if you've got the skill to pull it off. And here we go. Speaking of having the skill to pull it off, here we have a very fast expansion from the Protoss player. I don't know, is this the trend now in Heart of the Swarm to do insanely early expansions and Protoss at Terran? I remember in Wings of Liberty, most of the players that I watched in casts from other people, if you did an expansion before the 6 or 7 minute mark, if you're Protoss and Terran, then it's like, oh, it's some crazy build. I don't know what the hell he's thinking there. I don't know if he's going to hold this off, but they do it every single game now, almost. There's always, there we go, there's a level 30 guy just sort of hopping along. He's going to see the expansion over here, and the Mothership Core is going to see him. Maybe that's got something to do with it. They can get the Mothership Core out quite early, and that's a bit of extra defense for this Nexus. But here comes the Zealot. He's going to run out. The Ling knows about this expansion. He must have just run his Ling in there to see it, or maybe an Overlord saw it, I don't know. But he does know about it, so the Zerg player does know what to do. And I really haven't seen any Zerg do a really good respond to this really early expansion. I'd like to see a Zerg player go in and start punishing the Protoss for this sort of behavior. But of course, with this sort of gate made up of gateways, that is hilarious. It would be more funny if I sounded funny or happy or whatever, but whatever. It is a joke. I do hope you get it, and I do hope you are laughing at the moment, because it is funny when you think about it. It's a gate made up of gateways. So there you go. Not something you see every day, except of course if you're watching my videos, because most of the time the Protoss players do these. They make a gate out of gateways, but occasionally there's a forge as part of the gateways, but sometimes it's just gateways. There's the forge back there. So there we go. This Zealot going to chase away that Ling. I can only assume that he didn't micro it away successfully. I think it died, but here we go. The Mothership Core. He's going to be hitting this Queen. He is not going to kill it. He is going to have to run, because Queens are much beefier than Mothership Cores. They just one armor is just 8 at 0.85, and this guy's got 8 on 1. But I don't know. It seems like the Queen should, the Mothership Core should have a bit better. I mean, should be able to do a bit more. Maybe there's some sort of armored versus unarmored sort of thing going on here. Wait, that's the ground attack. Oh yeah, bloody air attack. That's a bit heavier. So yeah, definitely the Queen have the advantage. And speaking of having the advantage here, we do have a starship. He's putting it at the front gate though, so he's not exactly trying to hide it from the Zerg player. And what is he going for? Phoenix. So it just looks like a bit of a scout here. He does have a sentry, but he obviously doesn't want to waste his sentry's energy on hallucinations, or maybe he just doesn't want to research hallucinations. I think you still have to research it in order to get the hallucinations. I don't think it's or is it an initial? I think maybe it is an initial now in Heart of the Swarm. You can just build them straight out of the bag. But yeah, nice gate here. Mothership Core just constantly hitting guys, but hasn't really got a kill yet. So we're going to see that change right there. And this Zerg has just been left to die. He went out, he saw the Mothership Core, he saw these 3 guys as well. He's going to send this Ling in, and this Ling is going to find out about the 3rd base here. And that the Zerg is going to have to do something about. The Zerg, I've seen a few games previously, and I really haven't seen that many Zerg players just go in and just take it to the Protoss. I've seen Protoss and I've seen Terran expanding like there's no tomorrow in Masters games. They're just here, they're there, they're everywhere. They're doing very aggressive expansions. And I haven't seen very many Zerg players really take it to those bases, really start punishing them. And it's a bit hard, I guess, because Mutas are the perfect way of doing that. But of course, Mutalists against Blink Stalkers, they're going to get owned. So it's tricky. It's very tricky to kind of shut these down. Of course, fast Lings, always a good option. And we just haven't seen it. We just haven't seen the Lings come down and harass the workers as much as we'd like. So we'll see if that happens this game. We've got some very nice creep spread going on. It's perfectly synchronized creep snakes going out there. I suppose they could be called snakes. Here we go. Here's something. There's just a Ling. Managed to run through that gap. Managed to see the Stargate and the Robo facility. He's starting to produce a bit of Void Rays. So that would be a nice accessory to his army. Void Rays you don't just necessarily need to have, what was I talking about? Void Rays. You don't necessarily need to have a large group of Void Rays anymore to make them good. You can mix them in just as a standard part of your army because of their overcharge. So there used to be the Immortals, and the Stalkers to a lesser extent were good versus armoured, but the Immortals used to be the hard counter towards armoured units of all shapes and sizes. But since Heart of the Swarm, with this overcharge that the Void Ray has, Void Rays are now a very, very good counter to all armoured units. So it's not a bad idea to stick a couple of them into your main army, because they just shred through roaches like there's no tomorrow, leaving the Colossus to just focus on the Hydralisk. And speaking of roaches and Hydralisks, got a pretty nice army. The Phoenix is going to spot it, so the Protoss player is going to be ready. He's got 2 Colossus coming out. I'm not sure if he's got the ground army to stand between the Colossus though. That's the thing. He might be in a bit of trouble there. He really doesn't have the army. He's got a nice gate made up of gateways. Ha ha ha. He's got a couple of cannons behind. It might be enough to push the Zerg back, but I believe the Zerg has the superior army here, so if he just goes in, he'll take a lot of damage, but he may be able to wipe out this army, and after then it's just going to be good night. But here we go, some nice force fields. Colossus actually knocked over that force field, so it's a bit of a clumsy Colossus move there. But anyway, he's going to go in. Really, I think if the Zerg player can push in, just stay pushed in, take the hits from the cannons, but take out these Colossus, he'll lose a lot of his army, and it's possible he could take this down, but it's very risky because the cannons plus all these guys together, the Protoss player is trying to get some very nice splits going on the Zerg army, and the Zerg player is just not having any of it. That's what he's scared of, I think, the army getting split in half. When he sees the force field's about to go down, he just runs out of there, doesn't let his army get split in half, and I think he's done a phenomenal job at not letting his army get split in half. But there he goes. is going in now. The Colossus is getting the job done. One Colossus dies, the other one has to run back. Still full health though. The Zerg got out of there. He did quite a bit of damage, but the warp gates are starting to really get up in force now, so the Protoss is able to warp up a large amount of units, so he's making up for the fact that he had a small army before. Zerg player does have a fairly decent army, but it's all roaches now. The vast majority of the Hydralisks have been taken out, and I'm not sure about his chances anymore. I think the Protoss has the advantage now compared to the Zerg, who may have had the advantage before, but there he goes. He's going to wipe out a few roaches, and these force fields are just going to be turning the Zerg forces away again and again. But I'm not saying it's a bad idea for the Zerg to be doing this. He's doing a very nice contain, and meanwhile he's getting a 4th base up. So it's a good play by the Zerg player in keeping that contain. It's a good play by the Protoss player at forcing him off. So I don't think the Zerg was really intending to wipe out. If he had like perfect micro, maybe he could have done it, maybe he still couldn't have. But you can see there he was building 12 drones at that point, so he's done a, he said, alright, I've contained the Protoss base, I've got him scared, now I'm going to macro up. And the Protoss is having none of it. He is a Masters player, he is going to see through that ploy, and as soon as the Zerg backs off, he's going to move out with this starting to get scary army, 2 Colossus, a couple of Void Rays, and he's definitely been pushing out of the gateways. So he's going to push out into his 4th base now. He's going to spread the creep back. I believe he had an observer in there somewhere. And that is going to put the Zerg on a slightly defensive stand. He's going to want to get his creep up again. And meanwhile the Protoss has gone for a 4th base. So there's very high level back and forwards going on here. A little bit of pressure from each side, trying to force the player to think defensively. The Zerg did to the Protoss. Now the Protoss has done it back to the Zerg. And the Protoss is getting his 4th base off that push. So the Zerg is pretty much back to square one at this point. He's got equal expansions. He's a little bit far ahead on the amount of bases, because this one's already up. But he's definitely not ahead on the workers. He's 74 to 75. And he really doesn't want to have too many more workers. But he does know about the Colossus, and he's going to augment this pretty scary army with some corruptors here, still building a little bit of workers, but I think he's getting set to go in here. I don't think he knows about the High Templars though, so we're going to have Storm coming out. It's going to do a very scary amount of damage, and as I've said in previous videos, I really don't know what the bare bones counter to High Templar is for a Zerg army. I mean, forcing the Storms to get shot off on Lings or Roaches is pretty much the only thing they can do, because if the Storms go off on Hydras, then the Zerg is pretty screwed. The Roaches can take the hits from the Storms and still keep going. The Lings can take the hits from the Storm and they'll die, but they're so easy to produce, it's not even funny. But the Hydras are the backbone, the DPS backbone of the Zerg army, and if they start taking the Storms, then it's all over for this army. So he's got to see what he can do here. It does look like we're going to have some Archons being built here, just one Archon so far, but we can expect to see a lot more after the Storms start coming out and the energy starts going down for the High Templars. This is not good. Going in with the cannons, Storm comes down, but the Zerg player is going to juke out of that. But another Storm comes down. Those Templars were just waiting. The main army moved away. The Templars stayed there. They knew the Zerg was going to try and push in again, and he got some beautiful Storms off at that point. And here we go, a bunch of Lings. Sorry, not Lings, Zealots. There was a 5th base coming out for the Zerg, trying to get that economic advantage, but the Protoss player has found it. He is going to wipe it out, and I think the Zerg player might be in a little bit of trouble here. He's got to deal with those High Templar, and he's got to deal with this Protoss economic advantage right now. He really needs a 5th base. You might think about getting one over there. That wouldn't be too good an option, but his creep spread has been pushed back and he is not building it up again. His creep spread is going to let him down, because if he builds a base here, he won't have any warning before the Protoss come in. He really needs his creep spread to be about here, covering this full, hexagon. It's a hexagon sort of shape in the middle. He really needs to be covering this with creep, but of course the Protoss can just run in and wipe out those creep tumors so easily. So it's, yeah, the Zerg is not in a very good place at the moment. He's going to send a couple of Roaches in, But the cannon spread on this one is just so good. He's going to have to, I don't know, get mutas or something like that in there. These stalkers going out, they're going to do a good job. He sort of shot himself in the foot there by not having these rocks taken out. Going to allow the stalkers to get in here, but they are not going to be able to take that hatchery down. They are all going to die at this point. However, they might take a couple of corruptor kills, which might make it worth their while. The Zerg player, he was going for a Greater Spire, so we might be seeing some Broodlords, or we may just be seeing advanced air upgrades. He is also going for Ultralisk. He's getting at least one Ultralisk out, so Ultralisk, not a bad choice at this point in time. The main force is Corruptors and High Templars. Neither of those units do a very good job against Ultralisk. The Archon's not bad versus Ultralisk. They're about on even footing with them, so definitely not a disadvantage. But of course, yeah, these Tempests are pretty crap against Ultralisk as well. What was I saying? There was one good unit in here that might be good against Ultralisk, but maybe not. Yeah, the only thing really good against Ultras is Mortals and stuff like that, but he hasn't got them at the moment. He just doesn't have them. Of course, the Void Rays, if they charge up, that's what I was going to say, the Void Rays charging up could wipe through the Ultralisk very quickly, but it depends how many Ultralisks they really have. If he gets to about the 6 or 7 mark, runs them in, starts absorbing the storms, if the Protoss chooses to storm him, then that is going to be very bad for our Protoss player. But we'll see how the Ultralisk army is looking. He's got one so far, he's building 2 more, he's building some Vipers as well, so that's going to definitely equalize the Colossus. Vipers are very good at taking down the Colossus, because of course they can yank him out, and once they yank him anywhere close to this Hydra ball, is just going to be absolutely horrendous. And it looks like he was sending those roaches out just to make some room for bigger unit capacity. And look at these amount of Broodlords. He's going for a very large amount of Broodlords here, and he should be able to do quite a lot of damage with these. The Protoss player does have a lot of Tempest, and a fair amount of Void Rays as well, so he should be able to wipe through the Broodlords. But there is still a fairly large Hydralisk army, and the question is, can the Colossus wipe out the Hydralisks before the Broodlords start wiping out the Colossus, and before the Ultralisks wipe out the Colossus? Because if the Colossus managed to stay alive long enough to kill the Hydras, then these Broodlords are all going to die, and these Ultralisks are all going to die. But if he manages to swipe the Colossus out, manages to take him out, the Hydras stay alive, and these air forces, these Tempests, these Void Rays, are all going to go down to the Hydralisk force. You still got to worry about the storms, so these Hydras still have to worry about the storms, but yeah, it's going to be better. A lot of the storms will be spent on these Swarm Host Locusts though. So these Locusts being spit out by the Swarm Hosts will force quite a few of the storms down. We'll see exactly how we go. These guys of course can use the Cloud which stops people attacking. That's actually a very interesting question. If he pops down the Acid Cloud thingamabob, it stops people attacking. Will it stop the High Templars from casting Storm? Because that could be the bare bones counter to the High Templars. Casting that cloud down on top of them to stop them even casting Storm. That could be brilliant if it works. I'm not sure if it will work though. We haven't seen that tried before, but we might see it tried this game. We're going down. He's going down here. He's building a crap load of cannons somewhere. Where is he building a crap load of cannons? He's building them up here. He's going to do the high ground over this Zerg base, and that's just a way of saying, you know what, screw you. I don't like you. I'm just going to attack this. Go in there. He's got 4 spines, no spores. That's a bit of a mistake there. He's going to force the Zerg player to go back a little bit and kind of save this, because obviously he needs the gas. Well, he doesn't need the gas, but you know, he'd like to keep the gas going, and a couple of Ultras are just going to absolutely annihilate these cannons. But he's got to get them all up there, because that guy was sort of stuck, and yeah, all these guys are going to get wiped out. He hasn't taken out the Dark Templar, has he? Is there a Dark Templar? Where's the Dark Templar? There he goes, it was up there. So he ran up, and meanwhile, these guys are going to try to move in. They are going to get knocked back by the Locusts though. Colossus doing a very good job against these Locusts though, so we'll have to see. It all comes down to the Colossus and the High Templars. I think the Colossus are the big weapon, but here we go, another couple of Dark Templars Just keeping the Zerg player on the back foot. Tell me he's getting... There we go, there's a Spore Crawler coming up there, but not in time to save the hatchery. He's going to build the hatchery straight up again. He's got to get that base coming straight back up. And here we go, a bunch of Stalkers. They're going to try and go in, but they managed to kill that Creep Tumor, and I think that's about all they're going to be able to do. They're just sort of a front lookout to see when this army is going to come in. And now the Zerg has the option to try and move in, but he's got to be careful where he does it. He does not want to do it anywhere close to these cannons. He does not want to keep these Ultras moving in. Get out of there! Get out of there, you retards! What the hell are you doing? He is going to lose 3 Ultralisks with a bit of miss micro there. Just a misclick. Just Alright. Maybe it was a misclick. Maybe he needed the supply. I'm gonna say maybe he needed the supply. He's building a crapload more Hydralisks, so maybe he's deciding that the Ultralisks aren't the way to go, and he just sacrificed them to get up a bigger army. But really, it's just I think there was another Dark Templar here, but I think he got wiped out by these Spore Spine combinations, so that's fine. We've got Plunger Pylons all the way up here. Going to be looking around to go in. Here we go, there's a Phoenix coming in here, going to try and harass some Overlords, but that is not going to happen. You can see a very nice move here. Overlord got down to half health, morph him into an Overseer, instantly gets full health again. Now these guys are sort of sitting back. They're stockpiling tons of resources. They're both on 5, actually the Zerg's on 6 bases at the moment, so the Zerg is ahead a bit. The Protoss player is just testing all the bases, seeing which one he can try and get some Dark Templars in for. He managed to get a pylon here. The Zerg player does see it. He's going to take that out without any delay. I don't know if a Dark Templar can make it into this base. If he can though, there's no Spore Crawlers, so he might be able to do some damage here to the 10 workers that are at that base. But yeah, we'll see exactly what happens. Look at the income. The Protoss player is still fairly well ahead, but at this stage, I mean, they're just stockpiling minerals. They're not actually going in. Here we go. There's the Dark Templars. They're making their run in for that base, but the Zerg player had a bit of a force here with some Overseers, and he's going to knock that back. And there we go. There's the Spore Crawler, so that base will be safe from now on. The Locust still going out. Just going over there. He should probably send him at this, because all these cannons getting taken out by the Locust would be very bad. Where the hell are these? There they are. You should send them over here. Over there.
The hive cluster is under attack.
Anyway, he's trying to get another hatchery up there. Built it right next to a pylon. That's not going to be good. And these Dark Templar can run up and start taking this one out as well. They're going to try and go in there. This is going to be a mistake because they're all going to get wiped out. They might get the hatchery though. I mean, 5 Dark Templars. That's a lot of DPS going out there, and it looks like they will take the hatchery out. So this harassment by the Protoss player, I like it quite a lot. Is doing a very good job at keeping these bases down, but the Zerg has another one here and another one here, and he didn't really lose any workers, so he could just move the whole lot over to different bases if he wants to, and I think he does want to. There, this is a Warp Prism. He's going to go in, he's going to warp in some DTs here. The Zerg knows about it, but it's going to take him a while to get back here, and he can probably take off some nice production buildings here. What do we got here? We've got a spawning pool. Hive, that's probably going to go down. Here we go, there's some Zerg incursions though. We got some Overlord drops over here. Overlord drop over here, but he decided it probably wasn't worth it. But he is going to go there. He's going to take quite a lot of these guys out. Dark Templar is going to come in, wipe these forces out, but I think they took out quite a lot of workers. These guys, meanwhile, they took out the Hive, but there were no workers to take out. They're going to go after the Ultralisk cavern, but haha, joke's on you. This guy is not building Ultralisks anymore, so hopefully he tries to get some more DTs in there. He hasn't taken out this Warp Prism yet, but he has to do it fairly soon. Here we go, there's another drop. Taking out this Nexus, just going down now. No workers out at the moment, but it is going to push it back. He's got a couple more DTs going in here. There is DT action all over the place. There is Hydralisk drops all over the place. These guys are long distance mining, and this is just a smorgasbord for the DTs, but they're going to go for the hatchery when they really should be going for the drones. Although it might actually be helping the Zerg play because it frees up supply for more army units. But I really don't know if this army is ever going to go at each other. And I don't know if he's ever going to switch these locusts to attack these cannons, because they're free units. You might as well. There he goes. He's going to send in more units in to wipe out this Ultralisk Cavern. This poor Ultralisk Cavern who really never got to be used in this game. Here we go. Hydra's taken out another Nexus there, sorry. And the Zerg is still one base ahead in terms of expansions. The Protoss has tried to expand. It's been knocked back. The Zerg is trying to expand up here, and that's been knocked back. And I can't believe that this is still up. It would just take a few Corruptors over there to wipe that out. But he's too busy looking at his drops. And he really needs to morph one of these Overlords into an Overseer to try and drop him around. Because this Dark Templar is just doing all sorts of work over here. Here we go. Some Stalkers managing to wipe this out. He's got a couple of more Overlords. But I think all their units got wiped out. There's a bunch of Locusts going over there. He really needs to reset these guys to go to a different position, because they're not going where they could be doing a lot of work. These cannons would all be dead by now if they had been going up there. It would have been dead like 5 minutes ago. But anyway, he hasn't done that. There's another base going down for the Protoss here. Whole bunch of cannons. Zerg is going to push up with this base. He's going to push up with this base. He's still... Tell me he knows about this pylon at this point. He knows about the pylon. He should just wipe it out. Lings, they cost almost nothing. They should just send them over and just wipe out these pylons, because why the hell not? And then wipe out this warp prism. I mean, why the hell not? But he is just building a crap ton of broodlords. And here we go. There's some more broodlords over there. So I don't know. Here we go. Is 5 Dark Templars. Going to come back in. Going to try and do some damage. There's no real mining going over here. But he could take out the Spire, and that would be awesome. There's a Spire right over there. Go take it out. There we go. He's got to take out the Roach Warren. He's going to take out the Infestation Pit, sorry. And there we go. He sees the Spire. He will almost certainly take that out. The Overseer coming in. There goes the Hydralisk Den. That's going to get taken out. The Spire's going to get taken out. That was a very nice hit by the Protoss player, taking out all those production buildings. And now is a good time for him to move in. And it looks like that may be what he's going to do, because it doesn't matter how many resources the Zerg player has. He cannot produce any more units because he's got no more production facilities. However, this massive field of spore crawlers is going to produce quite a bit of a hazard for these guys coming in for this fairly large air army, and also for these Colossus. But he's going to push in. He's going to try and do something. The combination of the spore crawlers and the locusts are not going to do anything. And look at this beautiful, what was it, jerk of the bloody carriers. Going to take him out. That's going to be beautiful. These guys coming in here. The Zerg really, I've got to say, horrible job at not taking out this warp prism. Really horrible job. You can see it. You know it's on the map. He hasn't taken it out yet. And that's just, really, I don't think there's any excuse for not taking out that warp prism at this stage of the game. It's just sucked out so many units so far. It's been such a pain in the ass. It would be so easy to take it out. He just hasn't done it. And here goes the Greater Spy. That's going to get taken out. And it's almost like he doesn't care anymore what happens to all these production facilities here. It's almost like he's just like, well, I don't care anymore. And that's really not what we expect from Master League players. But there we go. He's going to run these guys back in. He's going to take these out. He's got to be thinking about taking out this warp prism. But the warp prism's finally like, you know what? Let's just make it easy for the Zerg player. Let's just run directly over his main hatchery. He actually rebuilt this. I'm not sure why he rebuilt this. Maybe just for the macro ability. But he has done it. The Zerg player, let's see. He's mining off this space. He's mining off this space. He's kind of mining off this space. Or not anymore. The Dark Templars take care of that. Meanwhile, the Protoss player has got this space, this space, this space, and this space. So, Protoss player doing quite well in terms of economy. I think the Dark Templars have done their job. They took out a lot of production buildings. They took out a lot of drones. The Zerg player has not been on the ball when it comes to deflecting those Dark Templar attacks. And he has definitely not been on the ball at forcing these locusts to go to the correct spot. But there we go. Here comes the Dark Templars going in there, taking out yet another hatchery. And I think the Protoss so far is really done a good job of keeping the Zerg in a defensive mindset. He hasn't pushed out yet. He's had this beautiful cannon set up, but he's never needed to use it so far. And I know I'm harping on about it, but Locust would have wiped out this cannon wall 3 times over so far, even while they were getting absolutely mauled each time. But there you go. I've said it, and I'm not going to say it anymore. I promise I will not complain about these Locusts going to the wrong location anymore. We're just going to let it be, and we're just going to keep on with this game now. He's got a large amount of Corruptors, he's got a large amount of Broodlords, he's got all these sorts of units, and really these guys are just facing off. But the see, this is just, I think this is just inexcusable for a Masters level player, not taking out that pylon. I mean, if we have a look, he doesn't know about it, but he's got to know that the Dark Templars are coming from somewhere. He's got control over this entire middle section, but Dark Templars are still coming out. There we go. He's got, as soon as this hatchery comes up, he's going to see it, and he already knows that this one is here. So it is absolutely not on that he hasn't taken these pylons out, and they've been spitting out Dark Templar for like years now. I mean, seriously, for like years they've been spitting the damn things out. So really, it's just not on from the Zerg player. He should take these guys out. He should just stop these shenanigans really soon. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if his head is really in the game at this point. He's been doing a good job, and there we go. The Locusts are finally going in. Look at this first volley. They're going to take out 1 cannon. They're going to take out 2 cannons. So that is exactly what he needs to start doing. Dark Templar is going to come in there. Finally get a look at the Spore Crawler, but they are going to get wiped out by this Zerg army coming in here. And the Protoss just going in there constantly, producing pylons all over the place. I'm not sure how he's getting in there. Did he just run through this middle part? Maybe 1 spine crawler here could save him so much pain, but because these guys are just so good at taking out hatcheries, they're just so good. And he really needs to stop this at the source. He really needs to say, you know what, just wipe out this pylons. And look at that, he's even building a nexus up here. This is not going to be a mining nexus. This is simply for the production of probes to keep producing pylons so he can keep walking in Dark Templars, because it's been working so damn well. And I've just got to say, I mean, this is just, shutting this down would be so easy, and it would save him so much pain. And for the life of me, I can't understand why he's not doing it. Even Lings at this point, you just send a crap load of Lings in, you just wipe it out, it's all good. Here we go, more Dark Templars with a Warp Prism, and it's just, it's not even a case of him getting out microed, or out macroed, or just outplayed or outskilled. It's just, it wouldn't be that hard to stop this sort of shit constantly happening. Obviously that one is a bit harder because of the Warp Prism, but it's a Spore Crawler, you can set that down there. You get Spore and Spine combination at each base would definitely help. He's starting to get that, but those guys not shutting down this combination all across the top side of the map is really just, so that's why he built the Nexus. He did the warp, and now he can go with his air army and just completely wipe this out. So that is a very good use of the Nexus there. Just he built that specifically for that warp back with the Mothership Core, and I very much like that play because it makes the Protoss army so maneuverable. It's just not even funny. I would like to know how large the cooldown is for that ability. Actually, we are going to have a look very quickly. I apologize in advance for not knowing that, but yeah, we are going to have a look. Mass recall. It doesn't tell me the cooldown, you bastard. We're going to assume that's about a minute or 2 minutes or something like that. So this army up here, they're going to have to find their own way out. They're not going to be able to get pulled out. Look at these Vipers. They're just constantly chaining this one Tempest, and they're finally going to kill it. But Protoss army has a very good position here. He's got a lot of Broodlords, but he may have underestimated just how many air units the Protoss player actually has. Meanwhile, what have we got here? We've got Dark Templars. They're all over the place, as they have been the entire game, taking shit out. And here we go. It's the final battle. The Zerg's in a very bad position to be pushing this off. Meanwhile, the Protoss is in a very good position. Not only can he do lots of damage to this army if it moves in, but he can almost hit the hatchery and take it out with the Colossus. However, he is going to push back, jump back a little bit, and he is going to maybe try and feed the Broodlords in. The Broodlords are coming in. The Zerg player is not controlling his army as well as he could. This Broodlord's coming in with no support from the Corruptors, and they are all going to get wiped out. And I really think that the Zerg player is just like, you know, whatever. I'm sick of this game. He's not going to leave yet, but I don't think he's trying to win anymore. I really can't say that he's trying to win. Anyway, the Protoss going to come in here, going to do some more damage. These Corruptors really need to get into the fray. They're all air units here. These Corruptors, if you send all of them in, I think you could do quite a lot of damage. And he's going to send a lot of them in, but he just keeps running away. These are not massive units. The Tempests don't do a crazy amount of damage to them, so they should be fine. But no, the Protoss just keep running back and forward, and I really would like to see the Corruptors just commit, really commit to trying to wipe out this army. And I really would think that they'd have a decent shot at it, but he's not pushing in there. He just keeps backing out when he gets on the high ground. He obviously wants the advantage. Here we go, they're going in now. The Void Rays got their armoured buff, doing a lot of damage to the Corruptors. The Corruptors are fighting back, they're doing pretty good as well. They're starting to get whittled down though. The Void Rays, I'm not sure if the Corruptors are hitting the Colossus or they're hitting the Void Rays, but yeah, it's I gotta say, I thought the Corruptors would do more than that in that case, but I think I've underestimated just how good that overcharge ability for the Void Ray is. It really is absolutely phenomenal, and how much extra damage those Void Rays do when they are overcharged. You saw them take out about twice as many Corruptors. They had help from the Tempests and from the Carriers. Carriers obviously doing a bit of good work. And look at this Overseer, is just in the middle of exploding. He's just like, he's eaten too much spicy food or something like that, and he's completely going to combust. He's got lightning all over him. That's just looks absolutely crazy. Let's see if we can rotate around. Yeah, he is not feeling his best. You can see his eyeball. He's just like, oh shit. But, and his eyeball at the back. Actually, he's got eyeballs all over the place. There's one there. And is this an eyeball over there? I can't tell. I think that is an eyeball. So they've got like 3 eyeballs or something like that. That's crazy. I suppose with an Overseer, it sort of makes sense that they'd have a lot of eyeballs, but yeah, you know, good stuff for this game. And yeah, look at these guys going on. They went in there, they did a lot of damage. Void Rays did excellent stuff there, but I think the MVP of this game, the MVU, I suppose I should say, the most valuable unit, is the Dark Templar. He went in there. He did lots of harassment. A lot of it was very nice warp prism work, very nice pylon placement. The Zerg had a lot of problems dealing with it, but I think a very large amount, maybe even the majority, was just Nyast, sorry, not Nyast, DaDumbDude, a Zerg player, just dropping the ball when it came to taking out this warp prism, and dropping the ball when it came to dealing with these pylons, because there's no other way I can say it. He really dropped the ball when it came to this pylon and to this pylon, because they were spitting out Dark Templars like there was no tomorrow, and he kept just taking the hits from the Dark Templar, moving his army up here to defend against it, and he wouldn't go after the pylon. He wouldn't go after. May have been assuming that it was a warp prism that was just running off, but if that's the case, I mean, get a couple of Corruptors up here, get a couple of Overseers, do some scouting up here to make sure that you can try and push those guys back. Mutas would have been an excellent choice for that. Just a couple of Mutas flying around, taking out pylons and shit. You would have needed like 2 Mutas, and you could have solved yourself a lot of pain and still maintained mobility with that sort of stuff. But he didn't do that. He let the Dark Templar harass get away from him, and congratulations to our Protoss player for a very nice harassment play. We do have to say the Zerg player did some very nice harassment there. He didn't go Mutas to do harassing the workers, but he did do some very nice Hydra drops all over the place. This base as well, and I think this base So he took out a fair amount of workers, but he just couldn't keep up with the Dark Templar harass. And that is why he lost the game. So thank you very much for watching this cast. This has been Hairy Muppet, and I hope you enjoyed this broadcast. And I love you all. No, well, you know, not like that, but you know, I think you're all awesome, and I hope you keep watching. So there we go. This has been Hairy Muppet. Have a good one.